I'm just very mad that this has come to this. I haven't taken a bribe in my life. I can't discuss that. It's part of the case. I can't discuss that. You got your pictures? Everybody's got your pictures?
We don't want you to trip over each other.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Please do your investigations, though, okay? Don't just take David Hammer's word for it.
Well, that was a combative Randy Farrell today in federal court after he pled not guilty to bribing the mayor. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sharice Gibson. The man facing a 25-count federal indictment not only entered a not guilty plea, but he and his attorney strongly pushed back against the allegations after the hearing. Investigative reporter Mike-Perlstein was there, now joining us in studio with an update, Mike, on what is shaping up to be a very explosive case.
Well, that's right, Sharice. Not only did Farrell and his attorney, Rick Simmons, plead not guilty, they signaled that they will be fighting back vigorously. And that means whatever case the feds are trying to build against Mayor Cantrell will almost definitely, at this point, not involve Farrell flipping and becoming a cooperating witness. Randy Farrell, the contractor and inspector accused by the U.S. Attorney's Office of bribing Mayor LaToya Cantrell to get a safety and permits official fired, broke his silence today. And he did not mince words.
Over the last couple of years, my name and my company's been dragged through the mud by a couple of reporters, leveling allegations and accusations against me and my company and my employees.
Farrell is accused of bribing Cantrell with Saints tickets, a cell phone, and lunch at a steakhouse to fire an official who federal officials say was trying to expose an alleged illegal permit and inspection scheme by Farrell and his company, IECI. His attorney, Rick Simmons, addressed those charges head on.
We don't think that they're a bribe. What we're talking about is a luncheon for 6 people for $800. And the Saints tickets, the Saints tickets, what, a dozen tickets to the mayor, who probably could go to any one of the suites in the stadium.
Inside the courtroom, prosecutor Nick Moses threatened possible witness tampering charges because Farrell spoke to another person involved in the case. Simmons had a quick response to that also.
A witness called him, so it brought up the subject matter, but he doesn't intend to intimidate any witnesses.
It's a shame y'all bringing him into this, but that's okay. We're going to deal with this in court.
Now, Sharice, we should point out that it was our chief investigative reporter, David Hammer, who first broke the stories about the allegations against Farrell. And today's hearing, Farrell called out Hammer by name, suggesting that he is being guided in his coverage by, quote, a couple of his friends. Well, David wrote a response to that, and it reads, quote, because I follow strict journalistic ethics, I don't investigate cases that involve any of my friends, and none of the people involved in Mr. Farrell's case are my friends. I've offered Mr. Farrell chances over many months to comment on these allegations, and he's chosen not to. I will continue to cover this story fairly, as I have for the last 5 years.
Mike, we obviously heard a very combative Farrell there. What else did he have to say and his attorney have to say? And also, what else did they have to say about our coverage?
Well, let me tell you, they had quite a bit, far more than you usually get after a rather perfunctory arraignment, which is just a not guilty plea. But Rick Simmons, Farrell's attorney, did take on the allegations, some of his legal strategy. He questioned whether these alleged bribes happened within the 5-year statute of limitations. He said he will be directly attacking that. And then we should also note that while our team, including David Hammer, have reached out to Randy Farrell for any kind of comment, statement, position, or interview, he's declined, but brought that up today, as you saw in that report, something that obviously we will continue to cover this as it develops, but again, you usually do not see an attorney laying out some of his case, and B, the defendant himself calling out the media for its coverage.
So this is obviously going to be a very combative case throughout the entire time. We do know that Mayor Cantrell was implicated in the indictment. Some people still asking what happens next from this point forward, and where does the mayor come into this? Right.
Well, obviously, you know, we have been hearing and following this along for some time. And what that indictment of Randy Farrell states is a conspiracy, which has to be, which means 2 or more parties. And it's a conspiracy to commit bribery, and there can be you know, there has to be two to tango
Right.
in a bribery charge. Farrell obviously is indicted, and we are still waiting for the next move from the feds, which presumably would be Mayor Cantrell if they finally choose to follow through with the second part of that and indict the mayor.
All right, Mike Perlstein joining us in studio with the latest on this case. Thank you so much, Mike. I know there is more to come.